Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta
with the theme
The Influence of Information Technology on the Psychological Development of Children. We are, as the Master of Ceremony, would like to introduce ourselves. I'm Gabriela Vitusya Pratama from Guidance and Counseling Study Program, and my partner,
Prilina Widya Puspitaweni
from Early Childhood Education Study Program. We will guide the course, the ASEAN Seminar today.
The Honorable Ibu Dr. Anda Sri Hartini, Magister Pendidikan, as the Dean Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
The Honorable Ibu Dr. Anda Lydia Ersta Kusumaningtyas, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan, as the Head of Guidance and Counseling Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
The Honorable Bapak Muhammad Heri Yuli Siliawan, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan, as the Head Early of Children Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
The Honorable Ibu Alfonsa Maria Sofia Hapsari, Sarjana Sains Magister Manajemen Magister Pendidikan, as the Head of the Information Technology Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
The Honorable Bapak Ahmad Jawandi, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan, as the Chairman of the Committee for the ASEAN Seminar event, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
And also, the Honorable Lecturers of Guidance and Counseling Study Program, Early Childhood Education Study Program, and Information Technology Education Study Program, within the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
The Honorable Associate Professor Dr. Chin Min Lin, as the keynote speaker of the first session from Taiwan.
The Honorable Professor Fernando Fernandez, as the keynote speaker on the first session from Philippines.
The Honorable Dr. Agnes Sambaling, as the keynote speaker of the first session from Malaysia.
The Honorable Ibu Ferry Faila Sufa, Sarjana Psikologi, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan, as the keynote speaker of the second session from Early Childhood Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
An oral of different Mbak Estir Akhlakul Karimah for Early Childhood Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta, who will tell us her about experience of benefit of digital information technology in education. In this seminar, the first and the second session will be moderated by Bapak Dr. Sumardiono, Sarjana Sastra, Magister Humaniora from English Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta.
And on the third session will be delivered by the student of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta. They will perform a reading poetry. They are
Irfan Febrianto Nur Hidayat from Guidance and Counseling Study Program,
Siti Unari from Guidance and Counseling Study Program,
Rizal Andriana Rossi from Information Technology Education Study Program,
Zulfari Salaletul Khodria from Information Technology Education Study Program,
Yuni Manwaru from Early Childhood Education Study Program,
Nona Sifra Tetalan from Early Childhood Education Study Program,
Halimah Rahmadadi from Early Childhood Education Study Program,
João Antonio Gusmao from Information Technology Education Study Program from Timor-Leste.
And to whom we respect to all our invited guests and all ASEAN Seminar participants whom we love and proud of.
First of all, let us pray and praise to the one Almighty God. Because of His blessing and mercy, we can gather together without any obstacle here, with healthy condition in the ASEAN Seminar with theme, The Influence on the Psychological Development of Children.
Ladies and gentlemen, on great occasion, allow us to deliver the structure of the event for today, which are as follows.
The first agenda is opening.
The second is singing Indonesian anthem Indonesia Raya.
The third is reading prayer.
The fourth is report the executive committee.
The fifth is greeting.
The sixth is delivering the material from keynote speakers, which will be divided into two main sessions.
The seventh is student performance, a reading poetry.
The last is closing.
Now we start the first agenda, that is reciting Basmalah together.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Stepping on the following agenda is singing Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Hadirin dimohon untuk berdiri.
Hadirin dipersilahkan duduk kembali. The third agenda is reading prayer, which will be led by Bapak Haji Arif Sutikno, Sarjana Komputer, Magister Komputer. To Bapak Haji Arif Sutikno, Sarjana Komputer, Magister Komputer, is now welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Hadirin yang berbahagia, marilah kita berdoa dengan khusyuk dan ikhlas menurut agama kita masing-masing. Izinkanlah saya akan memandu secara Islam. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan yuafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalalika wajhikal karimi wa adimi sultanik. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamatan fid din wa afiatan fil jasadi wa ziyadatan fil ilmi wa barakatan fil rizki wa taubatan qoblal maut wa rahmatan indal maut wa maghfiratan ba'dal maut. Allahumma ighfir lana wa liwalidaina walil muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat innaka sami'un qarib mujibud da'wat ya qadiyal hajat. Allahumma ya Allah ya Tuhan kami, tiada kata rasa dan pantas yang kami haturkan kepadamu pada pagi hari ini selain syukur kami kepadamu atas segala nikmat dan hidayah yang Engkau anugerahkan kepada kami, sehingga kami bisa hadir bersama untuk mengikuti kegiatan The Second ASEAN Seminar. Untuk itu ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Karim, jadikanlah acara kami ini sebagai acara yang Engkau ridhoi, yang membawa barokah, rahmat, taufik, hidayahmu buat kami semua. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, izinkanlah kami memohon, jadikanlah kegiatan ini sebagai penyegar, pembangkit, menggugah semangat kami dalam meningkatkan kualitas tugas kewajiban kami, sehingga kami bisa bekerja secara profesional dan proporsional, dengan baik dan tekun, sebagai bukti syukur kami dan dalam penghambaan kami kepadamu. Ya Allah yang Maha Mengetahui, Ilmumu begitu luas dan tak terbatas. Oleh karena itu, anugerahkanlah kepada kami ilmu yang bermanfaat sebagai bekal kami dalam menjalani hidup dan kehidupan. Serta berilah kami kekuatan untuk mampu mengamalkan dan menyebarluaskan ilmu yang telah Engkau anugerahkan kepada kami. Limpahkanlah kepada kami yang hadir pada acara kali ini kesehatan, kekuatan, kemudahan, dan keikhlasan, serta kecerdasan dan kearifan dalam mengikuti seminar pada pagi hari ini. Ya Allah yang Maha Pengasih, satukanlah hati kami, padukanlah langkah kami, apungkan pengetahuan dan segarkan pemahaman kami agar kami dapat memetik hikmah yang terkandung di dalamnya. Jadikanlah kegiatan ini sebagai amal ibadah dan dapat terlaksana dengan baik dan sukses. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, akhirnya kami hanya bisa berharap bahwa Engkaulah satu-satunya yang akan mendengar setiap keluh kesah kami, dan hanya Engkaulah yang akan mengabulkan setiap permohonan kami. Rabbana dzalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salim walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for Bapak Haji Arif Sutikno, Sarjana Komputer, Magister Komputer from Terdiri Period.
The next agenda is the report of the committee, that is Bapak Ahmad Jawandi, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan. To Bapak Ahmad Jawandi, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan, is now welcome.
The Honorable of the the Honorable Spatial and Bicycle of the Honorable Dean at Universitas Samudjadi, especially the Dean of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education of Universitas Samudjadi, also the Honorable Head of Study Program of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education of Universitas Samudjadi, and the Honorable to all seminar participants as well as the audience who we respect. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, praise over the presence of God Almighty, because today we can organize the second ASEAN webinar. First of all, I would like to thank to all committee workers to make this event successfully organized. The second ASEAN webinar is our effort in establishing international cooperation and developing ourselves toward a world-class university. The theme chosen in the second ASEAN webinar is the influence of information technology on the psychological development of children. Have a nice activity in this event. I hope you get useful knowledge. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The fifth agenda is greeting from Ibu Dr. Anda Sri Hartini, Magister Pendidikan, as the Dean of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education Program, Universitas Slamet Riyadi, Surakarta. But unfortunately, today she cannot come due to her father passed away. Let us send our deepest condolence to Ibu Dekan. Amin. Therefore, greeting will be delivered by Bapak Anggit Grahita, Sarjana Pendidikan Magister Pendidikan. To Bapak Anggit Grahito, Sarjana Pendidikan Magister Pendidikan, please welcome.
Drink.
Ini etik bisa. Jadi kayak dan foto-foto tidak ngomong apa kita.
Masuk Ji. Dah cukup. Masuk Ji. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Representative of Selamat Riyadi Foundation, Honorable Rector of Universitas Selamat Riyadi Surakarta, and the Honorable speakers from the Philippines, Taiwan, and Malaysia, and all the audience. Thank you very much for joining us in the webinar entitled The Influence of Information Technology on the Psychological Development of Children. This webinar is a collaboration between Universitas Selamat Riyadi Surakarta, Indonesia, University of Perpetual Health System, the Philippines, National Taichung Institute of Technology, Taiwan, and University Malaysia Sabah, Malaysia. And in this very special moment, I would like to say thank you to Professor Bernardo Fernandez, Professor Chin Min Lin, and Dr. Agnes Sambaling. I do hope this webinar will be a start of a better and wider collaboration in the future. And I do hope that this webinar will give beneficial to our university and our students. Thank you very much for your attention. And I would like to say happy webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sudah dibuang akhirnya kotorannya sudah cantik.
For the second greeting, we would like to invite Bapak Profesor Dr. Sutardi, Master of Applied Science, Director of Universitas Selamat Riyadi Surakarta, and also to open the event ASEAN Seminar. To Bapak Profesor Dr. Sutardi, Master of Applied Science, is now welcome.
Thank you for my student, Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much for the occasion. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The honorable speakers, Professor Bernardo Fernandez from Philippines, Associate Professor Dr. Chin Min Lin from Taiwan, Agnes Sambaling, MA.SA from Malaysia, Faila Sofia, SPD MPD from Indonesia, Estin Akhlakul Karimah from Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, as participant of the second ASEAN Seminar, and also a special our guest from
Mohon maaf kepada Bapak Rektor Suaranya tidak terdengar, Bapak.
Okay, sorry.
Terima kasih.
Okay. We repeat again, okay? The honorable speakers, first, Professor Bernardo Fernandez from Philippines. Second, Associate Professor Dr. Chin Min Lin from Taiwan. Third, Agnes Sambaling, MASA from Malaysia. Fourth, Ferry Faila Sufia, MPD from Indonesia. Estin Akhlakul Karimah from Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, as participants of the second ASEAN International Conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. First of all, please allow me to convey warm welcome to the honorable speakers who come from several countries. For example, from Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and also to all participants who have taken the opportunity to participate in international or second ASEAN conference via online system. This international conference is organized by the Faculty of Teachership and Education Science, Slamet Riyadi University, with the delivering special theme, the influence of information technology on the psychological development of children. This theme is tremendously related to the era of Industrial Revolution 4.0 and global digitalization or advancing of information technology era, which are very destructive impact and unpredictable global changes, particularly on education system, especially early age education. It is more specific, will influence on the psychological development of children. Therefore, we have to build strategies based on adaptive, innovative, and cooperative attitude among the nation within this changes world to develop a new era of global community which are able to utilize information technology for human being prosperity. In this wonderful occasion, personally and on the behalf of Slamet Riyadi University, I am pleased to deliver my appreciation to all honorable speakers, to all participants of this conference. I also extend my appreciation to all members of the organizing committee that have worked hard before and during this event. Finally, I wish you to have a good time during this international conference. And I'm sure that this international conference will be our first step to exchange information and take ideas and also to establish further cooperation among our institutions. Hopefully, all the participants will gain international recognition from their activities today. Lastly, we do hope that all of us will meet again for different events in the future. By hope, permission from God, officially, this second ASEAN conference will be open. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Let's move on to the next agenda. The session is the discussion itself. The first session of discussion will be delivered by Professor Bernardo Fernandez from Philippines, Associate Professor Dr. Chin Min Lin from Taiwan, and Dr. Agnes Sambaling from Malaysia. And as moderator is Bapak Dr. Sumardiono Sarjana Sastra Magister Humaniora. To the keynote speakers and moderator are now welcome.
Good morning. Should I start now? Sorry.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for joining us today. Today we are going to present a webinar on the influence of information technology on the psychological development of children. And today with us, there are three very inspiring speakers from the Philippines, Taiwan, and Malaysia. And okay, they will present with their own topics for about 15 minutes of the speaker, each of the speakers, and at the end of the three presentations, there will be a Q&A session. So if you have any question about the presentation, please type them on the chat room. Okay. And for the first presentation, we are invited Professor Bernardo Fernandez. Professor Bernardo Fernandez is a program chair at Psychology Department, University of Perpetual Health System, the Philippines. And he is going to present with the topic, the influence of information technology on the psychological development of children. Professor Fernandez, please, 15 minutes, your presentation.
Thank you for that warm welcome. So I'll be now sharing my presentation for today. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Very clear, Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you so much. I'm Bernardo Fernandez from the University of Perpetual Health, Calamba, and I'm from the Philippines. And it's nice to see beautiful people, in Indonesia. This is my first time to be a speaker and in your country, and it's really it's really an honor for me to share my thoughts to you. Thank you. So my topic for today is about technology affecting learning behavior of children. Okay. Well, in today's technology has become an indispensable part of our daily living. From business to human life, people are using different technologies in the name of the computers, tablet, gaming devices, iPod, smartphone, TV, and so on. In the same way, the prevalence of technology ownership and use is already very high among teens and increasing among younger children. In addition, using such gadgets has become a trend in today's culture for literacy and knowledge. Let's define first technology. Technology can be anything that was created by humans. It is intended to make life easier or solves a problem. Computer technology has ushered in a new era of mass media, bringing with it great promise and great concerns about the effect on children's development and well-being. Although we tend to see these issues as being new, similar promises and concerns have accompanied each new wave of media technology throughout the past century. Let's say, for example, film in the early 1900s, radio in the 1920s, and television in the 1940s. With the introduction of each of these technologies, proponents touted the educational benefits for children, with opponents voiced fear about exposure to inappropriate commercial, sexual, and violent content and addiction. The use of computers wouldn't be complete without the internet. Now let's talk about the statistics. Each year, the internet grows, but 2020 was a very special year. The coronavirus pandemic sent everyone home and forced us to rely on digital technology more than we ever had before. Social media, video platforms, e-commerce, and search also increased usage. And from the year 2000 to 2020, the usage of the internet increased by 1,266%. And as you can see in the statistics in 2021, Asia continues to account for the majority of internet users. Approximately 2 billion people in Asia are online, which make up to 51.8% of the global internet population. A mere 20 years ago, kids used to have a lot of physical activities. They play a lot of outdoor games like crickets, shuttle, cuckoo, lock and key, hide and seek, cut the cake, etc., and make joyful memories with their friends. In this generation, most of the kids are now relying on technology for the majority of their play. They play mobile games like COT, Mobile Legends, Candy Crush, Fruit Ninja, video games, and so on, and becoming inactive for other things, grossly limiting challenges to their creativity and imaginations. Research shows that the average 8 to 10-year-olds spend almost 8 hours a day with a variety of media, and older children and teenagers spend around 11 hours per day with media. That time adds up, and young people are spending more time with technology than they do in school. When it comes to education, correct me if I'm wrong, children before are always attentive and on point in preparing their notes with pencils or ball pens during classes and study hours. In this generation, as I noticed as a teacher, kids are growing without any correct guidance and becoming addicted to the latest technology and asking their friends to mail the notes instead of preparing on their own before studies. For an easy access, they took pictures of the lesson on the board most of the time. Let's talk about some facts. 58% of children aged 2 to 5 knows how to play basic computer games. More small children can open a web browser, 25%, than swim unaided, 20%. Twice as many kids aged 2 to 5 can play with a smartphone application as tie their shoelaces. 2/3 of young children can operate a computer mouse. More 2 to 3 years old can play a computer than ride a bicycle. So let's talk about the question, are gadgets or computers good or bad for kids? But before we answer that, let's define first what is learning behavior all about and how technology can affect the learning behavior to our children. Learning behaviors are learned actions that enable students to access learning and interact with others productively in the community. These behaviors are developed in and outside of school. Additionally, learning behavior help with understanding and managing emotions, establishing and maintaining positive relationships, and making responsible decisions are essential life skills. Technology is ever a present part of our daily lives, and the amount of times we spend interacting with our personal technology devices is only increasing as we feel the need to stay connected. And as a result, it's nearly impossible to prevent our children from also desiring these interactions, considering how much time we all spend staring into these colorfully illuminated screens. Technology, when used correctly, can actually have a very positive effect on a child's development. Now let's talk about first the positive effects of technology. I have listed 5 here. According to this, number 1 is increase in IQ. Well, according to the study of American Cornell University, from approximately 9,000 students, the IQ scores of the current generations are higher than the previous generation. Expert links this effect directly to technology. The increase in the number of technological products in children's lives, and consequently, the increased stimuli serve as exercise to enable children to solve more complex problems. Its positive effects of the internet on kinds that we cannot regret. Number 2 is mental skill development with educational content. Educational and instructional practices such as games, applications that improve cognitive skills such as math, games, and memory games are among of these benefits. Third is the learning enhancement. Learning how to learn is a very important skill. Thanks to the internet, there is a library with an infinite number of books in every house. Children can do extensive research on the subject they wonder about. And in this way, they are learning to access information, do research, and learn, and safe internet use for children comes with many benefits. Fourth is problem-solving skills. Creative children are successful in adapting to the changing world. Likewise, they are successful in creating new solutions to new emerging problems. Enhancing problem-solving skills in childhood will allow them to overcome obstacles easier in the future. Last but not the least, and one of my favorite, is the parental control in emergency situation. The positive impact of technology on kids sometimes be a lifesaver for your child and society. Your children should be able to reach you in case of an emergency, even if they are not old enough to use a mobile phone. Simple mobile devices like smartwatches and based phones are produced to meet this need in a healthy way. Smartwatches have various features, and they are cool gifts for holidays. For example, you can set the numbers that your child can call. Likewise, you can also determine which numbers your child can receive calls from. In this way, you can eliminate the risk of your child communicating with people he or she does not know. A screenshot. On the other hand, I also listed 5 negative effects of technology on children. Okay. First is lower attention span. Spending too much time using the most common technological devices, such as computers, smartphones, and tablets, can cause distraction and concentration difficulties. Second is minimize social interaction. Negative effects of the internet on a child's social skills usually appear when the child plays too many games on a computer because they become disconnected from real life. The child who doesn't communicate, interact, and share with his or her environment will try to meet all these needs in a virtual environment. For example, children can see the level they have achieved in a game. This level is respectable respectability element, and they can try to gain respectability in the vicinity of friends. However, these titles, which have no importance in real life, should be replaced by skills such as respect, love, sharing, and communication. A child should gain respect for these skills, so it's important to praise them for these elements. Third is increased aggression. We all know that children have a wider imagination than adults. Therefore, they are more vulnerable to the content they come across. Children who are not capable of perceiving the difference between the real and the imaginary can experience unfavorable situations, such as fear of being alone, nightmares, and not being able to go to the toilet alone. Similarly, they consume videos or games containing elements of violence, and they can turn into angry children. Fourth is health problems, of course. The negative impacts of technology on children are not only limited in emotional and mental disorders. The subject also has a physical dimension. The following disadvantage of technology in child development may occur due to watching TV for a long time, using computer or a tablet in a wrong sitting position. Like, for example, vision problem, neck pain, distortion of the skeletal structure of the body, arm, hand, finger numbness, overstrain. And in addition, it also reduces sleep quality. Okay, having the right measures of internet safety for kids will prevent both lack of sleep, which has a tremendous negative effect on school, work, and all kind of daily lives routines, and developing a gaming disorder. And lastly, we have often talked about overused. There are some hidden threats among the negative effects of technology on children that are not related to overuse. For example, cyberbullying. Considering that the technologies the children are interested in can usually be linked to the internet, we need to be aware of the external threats. In games and apps with online communication preferences, children can be exposed to bullying. They can be abused by malicious adults. Again, malicious adults can obtain personal information about the child or his family. So how to protect children from the negative effects of electronic screen? First, increased outdoor activities. Second, monitor sleep cycle. Third, monitor screen time. Fourth, exercise eyes on a regular basis. Fifth, don't distract your children with electronics. And lastly, make sure that the child sits at a specific distance. For my conclusion on this topic, it is very important to come together as parents, teachers, therapists to help society wake up and see the devastating effects of technology is having not only on our child's physical, psychological, and behavioral health, but also on their ability to learn and sustain personal and family relationships. While technology is a train that will continually move forward, knowledge, mental effects, and action taken toward balancing the use of technology with for development will work towards sustaining our children. While no one can argue the benefits and advanced technology in today's world, connection to these devices may have resulted in a disconnection from what society should value most: children. We need to understand the ways technology is impacting our children and how to encourage the right use of technology so it can have a positive effect on their behavior and development as opposed to a negative one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Fernandez, for your very inspiring ideas about
You're
children
welcome.
and its relation to gadget and technology. And please, if you have any question about this, please type them into the chat room.
Professor Fernandez will give the answer at the end of the third presentation. Thank you. And then the second presentation will be presented by Professor Chin Min Lin. Professor Chin Min Lin, receiving the doctoral degree of bilingual education in Texas A&M University, USA. And she is an associate professor and the chairperson of the Department of English at National Taichung Institute of Technology, Taiwan. And in this very special occasion, she is going to present information technology use and children. Professor Chin Min Lin, please, 15 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, very clear.
And now I'm going to share information technology use and children. Can you hear my screen?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes,
okay.
Clearly. Very clearly.
First, I will say that in recent years, technology use has been on the rise worldwide, according to the Program for International Student Assessment (PISA). In 2015 results, 95% of 15-year-old students on average across OECD countries had internet access at home. I think the number rises recently because of the COVID-19. And in recent years, research has focused more on psychological aspects of technology use with less known about physiological outcomes. It is a newer phenomenon that there has been more emphasis on brain and body-based implications of technology use in children and adults. It is important to note that scholars have done in recent years that effects of technology may depend on factors such as the type of technology being used and its purpose. Children might use computers during class time, cell phones to keep in contact with friends, a tablet to do homework in the evening, and then will watch an hour of TV with their families to unwind. This can account to many hours over the course of the day. Therefore, it is important to understand how and why children use technology and with which tools. When evaluating these guidelines and to determine whether limits are useful and how this should be set. Many groups concerned with children's health, including governments and medical societies, advocate for partially or fully limiting screen time for children and adolescents. For example, the American Association of Pediatrics, a prominent international voice in child health, publishes guidelines for screen time in children, the most recent of which were made available in 2016. These guidelines include a number of provisions such as avoidance of screens for children.
Hello, Prof. Lin. Prof. Lin.
Hello?
I think you forget to present your PowerPoint.
You cannot see that? Okay, I'll see.
Okay.
Actually, I had a hard time to, let me see. Can you see that, Dana?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Very clear.
Okay. Across many countries, similar guidelines suggesting limits on screen time and best practices for parents and guidelines. And for parents and guidelines exist. Often these included as components of guidelines regarding physical activity and sedentary behaviors for children, and therefore take more of a physical health perspective than an emotional well-being or brain-based rationale. As you can see, the United States for infants, they said they should have non access to the computers for infants, except video chatting under 18 months. Only high quality programming for 18 to 24 months. And for early childhood, 1 hour of high quality programming. And for school age, consistent limits on time and type. Other recommendations says that we should turn off screens when not in use. And these are the guidelines for parents in the United States. Some recommendations, such as those from the French Academy of Sciences, are more nuances. They said you should avoid quantitative guidelines in terms of number of hours of screen time and focus more on qualitative elements. For example, between the ages of 2 and 12, passive and prolonged exposure of children to television without an interactive and instructive human presence is not advisable. And the potential benefits of toddlers using touch screens and educational benefits for children are explored. And many of the national guidelines came to be supported by literature exploring different health and developmental concerns in childhood and adolescence. Some claim linking posture or body weight outcomes to screen time drew from quite a robust evidence base. However, these guidelines sometimes cite contested findings from the cognitive science literature and tend to not cite brain function and development as part of the rationale. This is due in part to a lack of empirical results in terms of technology and the brain, as well as the difficulty in linking structural and psychological findings to observable behavior or cognitive outcome measures. Nevertheless, this is an important field to explore. Some research cites a potential Goldilocks effect in terms of technology use. It suggests moderate engagement in online and digital activities might actually be beneficial in terms of subjective mental well-being and adolescent connectedness. Whereas too much or too little might prove detrimental in this sense. The tendency to publish models of restriction might miss some of the nuances in the emerging literature base. Problematic or excessive use of technology may be dictated by whether the use interferes with normal daily functions and is difficult to control, rather than based on the absolute quantity of exposure. Placing limits on statutory screen time seems reasonable. However, arbitrary limits on overall screen time might not take into account the nuances in terms of use of screens in childhood and adolescence. Furthermore, the research base in terms of well-being and biological outcomes is quite speculative and exploratory for the most part. Development in these fields is needed and will be aided by an increase in longitudinal research, randomized controlled trials, and reproducible findings in large samples. Young people today are more connected than ever. In countries with high rates of connectivity, young people aged 15 to 24 generally outnumber others in terms of overall online population. Young people have shown preferences for using the internet for gaming, chatting, and social networking purposes. The Pew Research Center published that 92% of teens surveyed in the United States report going online daily, with 24% saying that they go online almost constantly. The brain is plastic, which suggests that it changes based on our experiences. This is especially prominent in the earlier years, and research suggests that rapid development and considerable plasticity in the brains of newborns through the first few years of life. Childhood and adolescence are periods of rapid development and maturation. During the first 3 years of life, a child's brain may create over 1 million new connections per second. Some research suggests greater levels of school readiness in preschoolers who watched Sesame Street on a regular basis. Furthermore, engaging with educational content may be especially beneficial for children from low to moderate income families. Achievement and time spent reading books for leisure. Furthermore, total time spent watching television, educational or not, has been found in many research not to be predictive of high school performance. There may be some benefits associated with engaging with child-tailored educational content in terms of improved verbal abilities, cognitive development, and neural maturity in children. There is some research suggests that social media use, especially at night, might be linked with outcomes such as poor sleep quality. Some researchers found that how teens perceive photos is significantly affected by the popularity of the photo. In the case, quantified by how many likes it had already received. For example, photos showing risky behaviors such as smoking marijuana or drinking were more likely to be liked by participants if the photo had been liked substantially by other peers. Difficulty falling asleep was associated with social networking, frequent mobile phone use, and video gaming.
Implementing. 2 minutes left.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Since I only have 2 minutes left, so I'll just skip to the conclusion part. As I presented, there are so many research about computer use or screen time about the children's using in the world. And still, we want to know that if students can really benefit, especially nowadays, they are using computers more and more or mobile phones in the COVID-19 prevailing days. So now I'm working on the case study that's about adolescents who's studying at home and who's used to be escaping schools because of the bully problems at school. So she seems to be very enjoying the time, the COVID-19 time, that she doesn't have to go to school. So I think that's really beneficial for some parts of students in the world. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Lin. Thank you very much, Prof. Lin.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your very inspiring ideas. And please, if you have some question, please you type them on the chat room. Prof. Lin is going to answer your questions at the end of this presentation. Okay, and then for the next presenters, the next presentation will be by Dr. Agnes Sambaling. Dr. Agnes Sambaling holds a bachelor and master degree in developmental psychology from the National University of Malaysia. She started her career as a lecturer in 1999 at the Faculty of Psychology and Education from University Malaysia Sabah. She is a senior lecturer in Child and Family Program. And today she is going to present about the positive impact of technology on children growth and development. Please welcome Dr. Agnes Sambaling. 15 minutes, Dr. Agnes Sambaling.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay, so I share my screen, my presentations now. Wait. Okay. Hope everything is okay. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Sometimes my computer will freeze, so please bear with me. Okay. Where is my slide? Okay. Okay, so this is my name. My name is Agnes Sambaling from University Malaysia Sabah, Malaysia. Some of you may heard of the Sabah, Malaysia. It's in the Bornean Island, very near to the Philippines, and quite far from the Taiwan, and very familiar with the Indonesians. Okay, so for my presentations, I will focus on the positive impact of technology on children and children growth and development. As Prof. Bernardo mentions, the first presentations, there are positive and negative impact of the technology. And as Dr. Lin mentioned just now, screen time is very important to. It's very important for us to monitor the screen time of the children. So first, I will share the experience by the Malaysians, my country. Okay, so in 2020, last year, the because of the MCO, because of the pandemic, the increased internet use by the children is increased by 155% from 2016, and for the children, 56 of the children are using the internet, and it's very alarming because the 56.3 own their own device. So it's very alarming, but I will focus on the positive impact, because I believe when we do things in moderations, we can always see the positive impact, the positive side of the everything we do in our life. Okay, so this is the usage of internet among child in Malaysia. This is the Internet User Survey 2020 by the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commissions. So from this chart, we can see that the increase from 2016 to 2020 is 155%, and it's very high, maybe because of the pandemic, because when Malaysia introduced the Malaysian Movement Control Order in March 2020, most of the children and the university students focus on the change to the remote classes, the online class. So we cannot avoid that. We must use the internet. Okay, so is technology bad for children? This is the questions that parents always ask, and all parents want to know that, is digital technology making children's lives better or miserable? And how does the technology work for kids? Is technology good or bad? And how to stay safe on the internet for children? And as Dr. Prof. Bernardo mentioned before, technology is something that evolving over time. But in certain age, for children, technology is all about the smartphone, tablets, and computer, and they cannot see the negative effect of the computer, the technology, and we as parents and adults must supervise and give guidance to the children, so that they can we can teach them the importance of the internet or the technology, and from that we can see the positive effect of the technology. Okay, so technology is ever present in our life, and we as adults, we interacting with our personal technology device in every time, because we feel the need to stay connected, and as a result, it's nearly impossible to prevent our young children from desiring these interactions. From the theories, the psychologist theories, the Bandura's theory, children learn from the observations to their environment. So we cannot say no to the children, because we as adults using that technology. So for example, give a smartphone or tablet to the toddler, and chances they'll figure out how to open it is in a matter of seconds. For example, if you give a 2 years old smartphone, yeah, they can open it or they can use it as an adult. And the technology boom means that children are becoming computer experts at very young age. And elementary school children have classes on computer, and many of them have been using the computers and tablets at home well before they started school. In some situations, parents especially use the smartphone as the tools to suit the children, actually, or to control their behavior. Okay, so as I mentioned before, it's our job as the parents and adults to find the right ways for our children to interact with technology. And to do this, we need to understand the way technology impacts our children and how to encourage the right use of technology. The goal is for technology to have a positive effect on the behavior and development as opposed to a negative one. Yeah, we cannot deny the negative effect, but we try to find the positive effect of the technology. And technology, when used correctly, can actually have very positive effect on the children development. So I will discuss some of the positive effects. Some of the positive effect has been already discussed by Prof. Fernando just now. So I will try to discuss the positive effect that haven't mentioned by Dr. Fernando. For example, the mental skills, Prof. Fernando already mentioned just now. Technology can enhance the mental skill development with educational contents. For example, memory games for children who want to improve their memory, attentions game for children who want to improve their attentions, mathematic games for children who want to improve the mathematical skill. And there is so much more at your fingertips today. So the safe internet use for children can be useful with the right apps, allowing them to play brain games to enhance or stimulate their brains. And also, I think this one is also mentioned by Prof. Fernando just now, which is enhanced from solving skills and decision making. There are so many programs in the internet, for example, the visual design program, technical drawing program, coding program, and similar design tools improve children creativity. And creativity is a very important part in our life because creative children are successful in adapting to the changing world, and enhancing problem-solving skills in childhood will allow them to overcome obstacles easier in the future. The third one is improve visual spatial development. Spatial development can be greatly improved when technology like video game is used to help train young students and children. Practicing visual spatial skill with video games can be a great way to improve abilities. And visual spatial skills are needed in variety of things like map reading, puzzle, and more. And improving spatial skill is important because children who do well in spatial skill, such as putting together puzzles, are likely to achieve highly in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This one is from the previous research in the US. The fourth one is improve multitasking. Study shows that using technology can help young children learn how to multitask more effectively. For example, playing games and listening to the parents' instructions. They can do it in the same time. They can play games, but at the same time they can hear or listen to the parents' instructions. So this will improve the multitasking. And multitasking is a very important part in cognitive abilities, so that when they are growing up, they can practice the multitasking in their daily life. The fifth one is the classroom tool, and this one is very true, especially during the COVID-19. And I believe in most countries, they change from the face-to-face interactions, class learning, teaching and learning to online learning. For example, in Malaysia, until now, we are still using the online teaching and learning. And using with this technology, we can make it possible. Imagine if this pandemic happened back in 90s or in 80s, whereas there is no technology and we cannot do anything with the situations. We cannot do the face-to-face teaching. So I'm blessing in disguise. I believe that I'm happy that this pandemic happened during this technology booming during this 2020, where the technology is very advanced in our life. Okay, and the last one is actually this technology preparing for future tech careers. As technology continues to grow and flourish, there will be more demand for professionals ready to take on technology careers. And when children start getting excited about technology and the potential it offers them from a young age, they are more prepared for the future and the possibilities it offers. children can start getting technology skill early that they'll need in the future. So how parents can and adults can help so that we can minimize the negative effects of internet usage or the technology. So based on the Malaysians survey in 2020, awareness and use of parental controls is still very decreased from the 2018. For example, in 2018, the awareness is 36.6, and well, it increased to 42.6 in 2020. But still, the internet usage in Malaysia is 88%. So this is still very low compared to the internet usage. And some of the 34% of the parents, they said that they didn't use, 62% mentioned that they didn't use any parental control. Only 34.4 use parental control. And what kind of parental control? 72% is they setting rules on internet usage.
Dr. Agnes,
yes.
you have
Okay.
1 minute left.
Okay, then 1 minute. Okay, so I will go to the conclusions. Okay, before the conclusions, yeah, this is some suggestions on internet safety. This is how, as an adult and parents, we can help to monitor their internet usage actually. So everyone can read this one, and already gave the slide to Dr. Moderator. So I think everyone can read this one after this. Okay, so this is the conclusions. Yeah, we cannot deny the technology, and as parents and adults, we can help the children to minimize the negative effects of technology in our children development. And cybersecurity software and system can help ensure that kids stay safe while using technology. So with that, thank you very much. Back to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Agnes. I'm so sorry about the very limited time. Okay, thank you very much for your very inspiring ideas, and thank you for your suggestion at the end about internet. And now this is the time for the question and answer. And because of the very limited time, I will give a chance for each speaker only one question. Okay, and please, for the first, Prof. Fernandez, there are already some questions in the chat room. Please, Prof. Fernandez, you choose one of them. Hello, Prof. Fernandez.
Hello.
Yes, okay. Please choose one of the questions.
I'm sorry, I cannot see the questions there. I don't know what's happening. Maybe there's,
You
problem.
cannot read it in the chat room? You can find it in the chat room? No.
I don't know what's really going on in my side. Can you read?
Okay.
But can you hear me
I will
clearly?
read it one for you.
Okay. Sure, no problem.
Okay. I was wondering to get your comment regarding to the limitation time of children using whatever tablet, laptop, mobile phone, etc. related to their eyes health. It is right that maximum exposure the screen is 4 hours a day. Thank you. Can you get it?
Okay, problem. Actually, I was read that a while ago. Okay. Well, based on the recommendation of the WHO, no screen time below 2 years old. No screen time below 2 years old. That was the recommended hour from the WHO. For children age 3 and up, or 3 to 5, limit screen time to 1 hour a day of high quality programming. As your child grows, a one size, fits all approach doesn't work as well. You'll need to decide as a parent how much media to let your child use each day and what's appropriate. Okay, you can see. Okay, you can see as a parent how many hours they really need, especially if this is not children anymore, they are teens anymore, because as time goes by, they grow old, the number of hours supposedly increasing as well, because the technology they need to as well as used in their social life, in their educations. So as a parent, you should monitor. Okay, you should monitor. And as I said a while ago, 3 to 5 years old, at least 1 hour. At least 1 hour. Then 6 and up, you decide. Normally, it's 3 hours. 6 years old to 8 years old, normally 3 to 4 hours. That's it. Hello.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, Prof. Hernandez.
No problem.
The second question is for Prof. Lin. Hello, Prof. Lin. Are you still there?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
You can read one of the
I think
questions.
one question for me, it says, I think children can still get benefits. I answer that. I answer that I think children can still get benefits from online activities with the help from parents. Because I think most children really need the online access to get in touch with their peers. If they don't have the online access, then they are like an island. Then nobody can touch them. Then they'll lose their friends. So it is very important nowadays for children to get in touch with all their peers from the internet. So I think with parents' help, I think children can still get help from the internet. Thank you.
Okay, and then the third question is for Dr. Agnes. Dr. Agnes, do you already have the question in the chat room?
Yeah, there is one question for me.
One question for you, okay.
Yeah, I think one question only. The question is, most parents think that gadget and internet are both bad to the children. Do you have any suggestions for parents? Well, as I mentioned before, we cannot avoid the internet. Internet is essential to our life nowadays. So one thing that parents can do is do the parental control, the safety. For example, at the end, before my presentation just now, I listed eight suggestions on the internet safety. For example, parents must know what kind of harmful content our children exposed to. For example, what content that they can allow the children to surf in the internet, or they must pay attention to the video content. For example, on the YouTube, for example, everybody use YouTube nowadays, but we can, as a parents, we can set a parental control, and there is a YouTube for children. So maybe they can ask the children to use that YouTube for children instead of the YouTube, the normal YouTube. And also, I suggest that we must, as a parents, we must do the age limit for the social networks. For example, the Instagram, the Facebook, and the Twitters, and everything, the social media, especially the TikTok. Actually, we must set age limit. For me, 7 to 10 years old is very young to introduce the social networks, actually. And also always communicate with your children. Don't say no, but explain why this one is good. We cannot do this one because you must explain it to the children. And sometimes you need to explain to the children some applications that are not suitable for them. For example, why the some certain games are not suitable for certain age. So you must explain, as a parent, you must explain that to your children. And also, yeah, the most important thing is you must use the family filters and security software. Nowadays, there is so many phishings or scam in the internet. So you must always use the family filters and security software. Okay, that's it, Doctor. I hope my answers can answers the questions.
Okay, it answered the question, Dr. Agnes. Thank you very much for your very good answer. And unfortunately, because we have to finish this webinar at exactly 11 o'clock, so I think this is the end of the first session. Thank you very much for the ideas, Prof. Fernandez, Prof. Lin, and Dr. Agnes. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very inspiring today. And I hope, and we do hope that we will see you in other webinar next time. Thank you very much. And you may leave right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and
Bye-bye.
gentlemen, this is the end of the first session. And then please, Master of Ceremony, this is your time. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And now we are in the second session of the seminar. In this session, the keynote speakers are Ibu Ferry Filasufa, Sarjana Psikologi, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan, and Mbak Estrin Akhlakul Karimah,
which will be moderated by Bapak Dr. Sumardiono, Sarjana Sastra Magister Humaniora. To the keynote speaker and moderator, please welcome.
Ya nggak usah pakai mouse.
Okay, welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to the webinar today entitled The Influence of Information Technology on the Psychological Development of Children. And in this second session, we have two very inspiring speakers from Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta. The first is Ibu Ferry Faila Sufa, Sarjana Psikologi, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Pendidikan. She is a lecturer at Pendidikan Guru Pendidikan Anak Usia Dini, Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta. And in this very special moment, she is going to present the implementation of learning from home in early children. Efforts to optimize children's development based on technology. And then the second speaker, she is the student of Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta, Estin Akhlakul Karimah. She is a student at Pendidikan Guru Pendidikan Anak Usia Dini, Fakultas Keguruan Ilmu Pendidikan Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta. And she is also a teacher at KB Mutiara Hati Kali Jambe. What is KB? Estin. Kelompok belajar. Oke. Okay. Kelompok bermain. I'm sorry. And then she is also the founder of Rumah Baca Edukasi Sumber Lawang, a very inspiring activities. Yeah, the founder of Rumah Baca. And in this moment, she is going to present the paper entitled Benefits of Making Friends with Technology in the Early Childhood. And then for the first occasion, please, Ibu Ferry Laila Sufa, your time is 15 minutes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you for the given Mr. Dion, the Honorable of Universitas Slamet Riyadi Foundation Administrator, the Honorable Rector and Vice Rector of Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta, the Honorable Dean at Universitas Slamet Riyadi, especially the Dean of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education of Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta, also the Honorable Head of Study Program at Faculty of Teacher Training and Education of Universitas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta, and greeting to all ASEAN webinar participants. Okay, I will start by discussing the practice of distance learning, or the popular term is studying from home during a pandemic. We have been through this pandemic period for more than a year, where approximately the coronavirus entered Indonesia around March 2020. Then for her reason, the government provide a policy of doing learning from home. As the president direct to work from home, play from home, and study from home, this phenomenon forced all components of education to change and make adjustment. This include early childhood education. Next. Okay. Early childhood needs to stimulate with real activities by involving their sensory and motor skill, learning to socialize, to developing affection, empathy, knowing the environment, and interacting with peers and people in their environment. However, due to health reason and pandemic, children have to stay at home and interact with their small environment, namely the family. Next. Okay, next again. Then, what about early childhood education during the pandemic? In simple terms, I will group two categories of early childhood education institution, namely the upper level and lower level. At early childhood institution that have good infrastructure in implementing technology-based learning and adequate infrastructure, they use Zoom, Google Meet facilities to conduct virtual meeting with their students. Usually, this virtual meeting is done once or twice a week with a duration of about 45 minutes. Then they use video call in small group by dividing the children around 4 to 5 children schedule at each week. In addition, the teacher also make learning videos using application such as KineMaster, InShoot Canva to edit picture or videography template. They also take advantage of PowerPoint as well as YouTube to stimulate children virtually. However, this is also supported by the ability of parents to access it. Teachers continue to communicate both through WhatsApp group and offline once a week with parents. Parents of students work together with teachers to carry out the stimulation to be achieved in the curriculum that has been made at school. Parents take children activity in 1 week, then the next week collect children's work and take activity for the following week. Then in the lower institution that have not been able to access technology properly, they use WhatsApp group for communication with parents or weekly meeting with parents. Once a week, parents take assignment and submit children works. Okay, if necessary, if possible, the teacher make home visit and perform the necessary stimulation for 3 to 5 children at the parents' home. This is done because there are still parents who do not have gadget or smartphone facilities. Next. Okay, then the government has issued circular letter number 4 of 2020 that's concerning the implementation of education in the coronavirus disease emergency period. One important point is related to learning from home. The learning activities and assignment can vary between students according to their respect interested and conditioning, including in terms of access gap of learning facilities at home. Through the Ministry of Education and Culture, the government has banned face-to-face or conventional form and ordered distant education or learning from home to be carried out. This is then addressed by the institution to develop an essential curriculum to implement learning outcome carried through stimulation from home by parents. Therefore, current information technology is an effective communication medium between parent and teacher in stimulating the developmental aspect needed by early childhood. Okay, next. So the challenge in achieving the developmental tasks and needs of children to achieving well-being are children need interaction with the environment, and this is attained by utilizing surrounding object of child stimulation, such as utilizing cooking ingredient or household appliance to stimulate various aspects of development that are needed. For example, if the child help to mother prepare breakfast, then the stimulation of receptive and expressive language will appear there through the conversation between parent and children. Cognitive aspects are stimulated by training children to think logically, such as what to do to cook egg. Then the child must provide egg and other seasoning. Physical aspect of fine and gross motor skill will be seen from the activity of preparing breakfast. Likewise, social, emotional development and moral religious values will be stimulated by getting used to praying before eating and helping parents become part of the pro-social stimulation process for children. However, the obstacle is that not all parents can fully assess because of parental duties such as working or caring for other children. So this becomes a challenge to meet the needs of quality and quality development, including not all parents have pedagogic abilities that prepare children to achieve expected development tasks. In addition, it is also necessary to consider the factor of children as digital native. Okay, the characteristic of pandemic to keep a distance of course can change the concept of human as Homo sapien to Homo digitalis. Of course, our social life turned into box virtually through smart computer. So this need to be watched out for in early childhood, so as not to get caught up in the negative impact or fear of virtual digitalization. However, real life need to be introduced to early childhood through the real activities, not with activities that are dominant with finger and touch screen. Okay, next. Next. Okay. The conclusion, apart of from parents, the party who can optimize children development is the teacher. Teacher are an important milestone so that children development can still develop optimally even if they use an online system. Teacher must be skilled in mastering IT so that the online teaching and learning process can continue to run smoothly and well. Learning that usually done face-to-face in school now has to be learning done remotely by using communication technology. With the new learning platform, early childhood education teacher must have the ability and skill to operate the technology planning for fun distance learning that is still in line with the educational curriculum. The keyword is the cooperation of parent and teacher is optimizing the growth and development of children. Digital media needs to be used properly to develop children development tasks through real activity. That's the keyword. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Dion.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Ferry Laila Supa, for your ideas. Faila Supa, sorry, implementation of learning from home in early children. And I think there will be a lot of questions about the topic, because this is very interesting. And for your information, in the second session, you may give your questions in bahasa Indonesia. Jadi dipersilakan nanti pertanyaannya dalam bahasa Indonesia khusus untuk sesi kedua ini. Okay, but you just keep it for the next after this presentation. Now we are going to go to the second presentation by Astin Ahlakul Karima, one of our students in pendidikan anak usia dini, okay? And because she is also very inspiring in her activities, yes, I think there will be a lot of questions after the presentation. Please welcome Mbak Astin Ahlakul Karima. And she is going to present the benefits of making friends with technology in early childhood. Okay, time's yours.
Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for time, Mr. Sumardion. The Honorable Foundation Rector University Slamet Riyadi Surakarta. The Honorable Foundation Dean of Teaching on Education Fakultas Slamet Riyadi Surakarta, and greetings to all ASEAN webinar participants. On this motivational occasion, I would like to invite my friends to study together and share together with the title Benefits increase with technology in early childhood. Next. Having children who grow and develop optimally is the hope of every parent. At an early age, the basic growth of a child will influence and determine future development. Therefore, the children's play environment needs to be considered properly, especially at this time. Children already have to know the intergenerational development of technology. Next. So as a child companion, you must be smart in sorting and choosing in the use of technology and wiser in applying it when you are with children. Next. Next. We know that today many parents are trying their best for the development of their children's growth, both in meeting their playing needs and learning needs. But it's all we know that at an early age, children grow and develop very quickly, especially in introducing the sophistication of technology that exists at this time. Child companion need to properly pick the advantage and disadvantage of technology. Next. Technology. Refer to Jacques Ellul, technology is a whole method that rationally leads and has the characteristic of efficiency in every field of human activity. We can define technology as a tool or media related to electronic system and information media. Refer to KBBI, technology also has the overall meaning of the means to provide the goods needed for the survival and comfort of human life. Refer to Noto Hadiningrat, technology is skills or knowledge that is applied to the creation of goods which are needs or desired by humans. Next. Technology. How to stimulate the introduction of technology such as giving a choice of several pictures that will raise the child's curiosity. An example in the image below. After that, ask question about the picture. From there will appear a lot of answers mentioned by the child. Next. Only after that mention and explain the function or use of each image, let the children imagine for a moment, then give an understanding of the bad effect of excessive use of technology and also explain the benefits of using technology wisely. Next. I will take one example in introducing technology in the form of mobile phones, because at this time, many children will make cell phones as their daily activities. Of course, in a more effective way, first start with small things, such as introducing the shape of the cell phone and the parts that are on the cell phone. Next. Explain that the object is called a cell phone. It displays, it has a rectangular shape when you hold it. It feels hard. This cell phone includes technology to provide or seek information. Then introduce the features in it, but still explain the dangers of using cell phones if you use them too often or for too long. Lastly, Give a good example not to use your cell phone excessively when you are with children. Utilize and apply technology in early childhood. Next, benefit digital information technology in education. Distance learning, building creativity, network building, improve the basic abilities of early childhood, resource, communication, increase the role of the public. Next, digital generation assistance. One, increase or cloud, provide positive programs or application, whether in using digital device wisely, provide directs for restriction on the use of information technology. Next, take advantage of technology. By classroom online, network, virtual class. Next, take advantage of technology application, edu game, coding, and videos. Next, the impact of the pandemic also affect the world of education in Indonesia, especially for early childhood education, so that the teaching and learning process continues to be carried out using technology-based methods. Next, technology learning media is very helpful in the online learning process during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Miss Estin Akhlakul Karimah, for your presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for the question and answer. Please give your questions directly, or you may put them into the chat room. Oke, yang pertama ini Bu Ferry siap menjawab untuk satu pertanyaan pertama mungkin.
Baiklah.
Do you already have one question in the chat room?
Insya Allah siap.
Insya Allah, oke. Oke, the first questions for Ibu Ferry Laila. Monggo, up to you in English or in bahasa Indonesia.
Ferry Faila Sufa.
Ferry Faila, oke, I'm sorry.
Thank you. The first question, ya, pertanyaan pertama, apa peran orang tua ya? Peran orang tua dalam pembelajaran, dalam stimulasi anak usia dini ya?
Iya.
Oke. Selama pandemi, memang peran orang tua sangat penting ya. During the pandemic, the role of parent is very important in the model of student learning from home. Jadi sekarang modelnya adalah belajar di rumah, ya. Maka perlu menyediakan stimulasi oleh peran orang tua itu. Bagaimanapun orang tua itu kan tidak selalu seperti yang sudah saya jelaskan tadi, tidak selalu punya kemampuan pedagogi atau kesempatan untuk selalu berada di samping anak ya, karena mungkin dia harus bekerja atau berbagi dengan anaknya yang lain untuk ini ya, sehingga memang perlunya kerjasama antara guru dan orang tua. Dalam hal ini guru bisa mentransfer pengetahuan terkait pendidikan anak usia dini ya, untuk apa yang harus dilakukan atau distimulasi di rumah gitu. This is necessary so that diperlukan agar tidak terjadi kesalahan menstimulasi istilahnya malpraktek di rumah malah gitu ya, atau toxic parent sekarang ya istilahnya begitu ya.
Istilah yang sangat populer ya, toxic parents, toxic family.
Iya, oke. Sehingga parent also need to understand pedagogy ya, and on how to educate children. Jadi bagaimanapun orang tua juga harus tahu ilmu tentang bagaimana mendidik untuk anak. Nah, perlunya memang harus bekerjasama dengan orang tua, guru bisa mentransfer apa-apa yang dilakukan. Gitu.
Jadi tanggung jawab seorang anak bukan hanya guru ya,
sekarang
tapi
ya,
orang tua juga perlu memahami bagaimana pendidikan untuk anak usia dini dan harus bekerja sama ya supaya tidak terjadi perbedaan antara orang tua di rumah, nilai-nilai yang diajarkan dengan nilai-nilai yang diajarkan di sekolah. I think this is very inspiring. Ya, oke. Untuk orang tua yang punya anak usia dini, sekitar berapa tahun ya anak usia dini?
Dari lahir sampai 6 tahun kalau kita di
6
Indonesia.
tahun.
Iya.
Iya, masa yang sulit ya. Saya sebagai seorang bapak tahu bagaimana sulitnya mendidik anak usia dini dan
menyenangkan, jangan dibuat sulit, Pak.
Tentu menyenangkan ya kalau sudah tahu caranya. Dan saya pikir pendidikan anak usia dini ini perannya ya untuk bagaimana memberi pemahaman kepada orang tua, kepada masyarakat, bagaimana mendidik anak usia di bawah 6 tahun. Oke, pertanyaan pertama sudah menghangatkan situasi. Silakan please the first for Mbak Estin. Do you already have question? Mrs. Anten, okay, you already have one question. Do you get it? Sudah didapat? Hi, I want to ask Mrs. Astin, how do I deal with children who have been contaminated by gadget? Bagaimana menangani anak-anak sudah terkontaminasi oleh gadget, sudah teracuni gitu ya, sudah toxic gadget gitu ya. Gadget yang kemudian mengganggu kegiatan belajarnya, mungkin mengganggu secara psikologis dan sebagainya. Miss Astin, please.
Okay, thank you for your question. One of the negative effects that need to be worried of from excessive interaction between children and the place is the emergence of motor development problem in children.
Motoric development.
Iya.
Oke.
Ini biasanya memang yang dialami orang tua pada saat ini di situasi pandemi ini banyak sekali keluhan tentang gadget ya.
Iya. Gadget yang kemudian mengganggu anak gitu ya.
Iya.
Tadi ada motorik.
Motorik dalam perkembangan pemberian stimulasi anak.
Oke, jadi tidak hanya psikologis saja ya, tidak, tapi juga motorik dan sebagainya. Oke, berikutnya mungkin masih ada beberapa pertanyaan. Oke, ini kelihatannya ada pertanyaan lagi untuk Bu Ferry, bisa barangkali ditanggapi. How to provide remote application to lower middle paud school? Bisa didapatkan Bu Ferry?
Sebentar saya baca ya.
How to provide remote application to lower middle paud school?
Oke, untuk yang PAUD yang di ini ya, apa ya, belum punya infrastruktur yang baik ya. Oke, belum punya infrastruktur yang baik untuk melakukan pembelajaran daring ya. Oke, in early childhood with a low parental sosial status, biasanya kan memang diimbangi dengan status sosial yang status sosial ekonomi yang tidak belum ini ya, belum bisa mengcover pembelajaran secara daring ya, teknologi. Tentu saja ini akan berbeda pada orang tua yang sudah mapan ya, dapat ini. Nah, di sini bisa digunakan kerjasama juga dengan guru ya. Guru perlu memahami karakteristik dulu. Jadi memang orang tua, misalnya kalau pekerjaannya mungkin di area pedesaan yang tidak memungkinkan infrastruktur atau selalu menggunakan Zoom gitu, bisa memanfaatkan WhatsApp group minimal, karena sekarang WhatsApp sudah membumi ya, WhatsApp group untuk memberikan tugas-tugas kepada orang tua, estimasi apa yang harus dilakukan selama seminggu, atau bila memungkinkan ya, if it's possible, bisa seminggu sekali orang tua datang ke sekolah untuk memberikan untuk mengambil tugas-tugas gitu. Nah, di sini bisa terjadi transfer of knowledge atau komunikasi antara orang tua dan anak, apa yang terjadi, apa yang harus dilakukan, apa yang dilakukan selama seminggu sama anak begitu, sehingga capaian kurikulum yang harus dilalui ya itu tidak tidak hilang, anak tidak main tanpa kontrol gitu ya. Tetap ada kendali dan tetap ada capaian pembelajaran yang harus dilakukan oleh PAUD itu gitu ya. Jadi parent can come to school to get a series of activity that must be stimulated by the child on 1 week or by way of home visit juga bisa dilakukan gitu. Mengumpul di sana, guru jadi bisa datang menengok bagaimana perkembangannya
dengan
gitu.
beberapa
Iya,
anak,
dengan beberapa anak, dengan prokes.
Ya, saya pikir ini menarik sekali untuk daerah-daerah di mana coverage untuk teknologinya belum begitu bagus ya. Dan saya pikir untuk konteks Indonesia barangkali ini sangat kontekstual. Bagaimana kemudian sekolah pendidikan anak usia dini mengatasi masalah ini.
Betul,
untuk mereka yang coverage teknologi coverage-nya barangkali tidak begitu menguntungkan. Masihkah diperbolehkan satu pertanyaan? Stage Director, is it possible to have one more question? Okay, one more question. Okay, Mbak Estin, I think you still have one question. Ya, bagaimana meningkatkan kemampuan dasar anak melalui teknologi?
Okay, thanks for the question. The first step that needs to be considered is to introduce technology of child first. Then choose technology what do children need in the time. For example, when children like to play with colors. From there, we can introduce various colors in the application on the cell phone.
Oh, jadi dengan menggunakan aplikasi-aplikasi itu ya untuk pembelajaran anak, melalui teknologi. Saya pikir banyak sekali sekarang ya, artinya teknologi memberi kita keleluasaan untuk berkreasi, tinggal kita mau berkreasi atau tidak, tinggal kita melek teknologi apa tidak. The tools, the application is already there.
Yes.
Ya, everyone can get it and get benefits from that. Oke, saya pikir sudah cukup 2 pertanyaan untuk Ibu Ferry Faila Sufa and Mbak Estin, very inspiring student ya. Yes. Kita berharap banyak sekali mahasiswa yang memberi inspirasi untuk masyarakat, memberi benefits to the children in our society. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for Ibu Ferry Faila for your inspiration and Mbak Estin for your inspiration. Thank you for joining our webinar today, and I do hope we still meet again in other opportunities. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bapak.
And now we move to the third session, which will be students, performers, reading poetry. The performers are
Irfan Febrianto Nur Hidayat from Guidance and Counseling Study Program,
Siti Unari from Guidance and Counseling Study Program,
Rizal Adriana Rossi from Information Technology Education Study Program,
Zulfa Rizal Lailatul Qadria from Information Technology Education Study Program,
Yuniman Warubu from Early Childhood Education Study Program,
Nona Sifra Tetalan from Early Childhood Education Study Program,
Halimah Rahmadani from Early Childhood Education Study Program,
Jong Antonio Gusmo from Information Technology Education Study Program for Timor-Leste.
To those performers are now welcome.
Oleh WS berpamrison melihat Indonesia Raya, mendengar 130 juta rakyat dan di langit 2-3 cukong mengangkang berak di atas kepala mereka. Matahari terbit, fajar tiba, dan aku melihat 8 juta anak-anak tanpa pendidikan. Aku bertanya, tetapi pertanyaan-pertanyaan membentur meja kekuasaan yang macet dan papan tulis para pendidik yang terlepas dari persoalan kehidupan. 8 juta anak-anak menghadapi satu jalan panjang, tanpa pilihan, tanpa pepohonan, tanpa danau persinggahan, tanpa ada bayangan aku melihat sarjana menganggur berpeluh di jalan raya. Aku melihat wanita putih dan di langit para teknokrat berkata bahwa bangsa kita adalah malas, bahwa bangsa mesti dibangun, mesti di-upgrade sesuai dengan teknologi yang diimpor. Gunung-gunung menjulang, langit pesta warna di Singapura. Dan aku melihat protes-protes yang terpendam terhimpit di bawah tilam. Aku bertanya, tetapi pertanyaanku membentur jidat-jidat penyair salon yang bersajak anggur dan rembulan. Sementara ketidakadilan terjadi di sampingnya. Dan 8 juta anak-anak tanpa pendidikan termangu-mangu di kaki Dewi Kesenian. Bunga-bunga bangsa tahun depan berkunang-kunang. Anda katanya. Di bawah iklan berlampu neon, berjuta-juta If they live with hostility, they will learn to quarrel. If they live with fear, they will learn to be apprehensive. If they live with pity, they will learn to feel sorry for themselves and everything. If they live with ridicule, they will learn to feel shy.
If they live with jealousy, they will learn to feel confident. If they live with encouragement, they will learn to feel confident. If they live with tolerance, they will learn patience. If they live with praise, they will learn to appreciate.
If they live with acceptance, they will learn to love. If they live with approval, they will learn to love themselves. If they live with recognition, they will learn that it's good to have a purpose in life. If they live with sharing, they will learn about generosity.
If they live with honesty, they will learn about truthfulness. If they live with fairness, they will learn about justice. If they live with security, they will learn their faith. If they live with friendliness, they will learn that the world is a great place to live.
Herói da educação. O nosso mundo exterior é escuro. O nosso mundo que costumava ser apenas frio escuro. Não posso fazer nada. Não posso ir a lugar nenhum. Mas agora, nosso mundo está cheio de luz, cheio de traços coloridos. E também as palavras que costumavam apenas sonhar. Agora, começamos a olhar. Não é mais sonho. É porque você ensinou sobre belas cores, sobre as linhas para pintar e também sobre as palavras para ler. Ser as palavras o som do mundo. O mundo ficará congelado, mudo, escuro. O arco-íris não vê, nunca mais vai brilhar. A vida nunca mais acontecer. Quando o ponto de vida se aproxima, e o ponto de luz que vai voltando. Porque você vai contar os lágrimas e os movimentos do seu corpo. Temos o propósito para o mundo que você lava. Também após o seu apoio. Nós dizemos mil agradecimentos, mesmo sabendo que não seremos capazes de recompensá-lo para heróis da educação. Professor, que é a minha recompensa.
Kami tak pernah lelah. Kami tak pernah lelah untuk belajar pengetahuan agar menjadi anak pintar, kebanggaan ayah bunda. Kami tak pernah jenuh meski belajar harus di rumah. Tetap membuka buku, mengambil ilmu dengan membaca. Walau hari ini berlebih-lebih, telah dewasa akan gembira. Sebab hidup bahagia dengan ilmu yang dipunya.
Walaupun nasib terlihat kelam, masa depan terlihat suram. Jangan pernah tinggalkan pendidikan, karena ia merupakan jalan percintaan. Dengannya kita menuju perantaraan masa depan. Pahlawan pendidikan, karya Faris. Jika hidup aku yang dulu begitu sepi, tak pernah ada yang mengisi. Hanya ada kehampaan dan warna gelap, penuh dengan kebingungan dan tak tahu apa yang bisa dilakukan. Namun hidupku kini tak lagi sepi. Mulai ada yang mengisi penuh warna-warni. Dengan uraian kata-kata, itu karena ada kau yang mengajarkan aku.
Tentang mana angka dan huruf, tentang mana warna yang indah. Semua berkat bimbingan pendidikan darimu yang tak pernah lelah mengajari aku. Oh guruku, dengan pendidikan darimu, nasib aku bisa dirubah. Apa yang tidak mungkin, kau jadikan mungkin. Sehingga mimpiku bisa aku raih.
Di masa pembangunan ini, Tuhan hidup kembali dan bara kagum menjadi api. Di depan sekali Tuhan menanti, tak gentar melawan kenakan 100 kali. Maju, pedang di kanan, keris di kiri, selempang semangat yang tak bisa mati. Maju, ini barisan tak bergenderang berpaling. Kepercayaan tanda menyerbu. Sekali berarti sudah itu mati. Maju, bagimu menyediakan api, punah di atas menghamba, binasa di atas ditindas.
Ladies and gentlemen, reaching to the end of our agenda, there is closing. Before closing, let us all have our picture together. Therefore, please switch on your camera.
Kepada peserta, hadirin partisipan webinar, diharap untuk menyalakan kamera.
And now let us closing by Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Finally, I am Prilina Widya Puspitaweni and my partner
Gabriel Levi Tusia Pratama
would like to end the seminar. We will also like to apologize for the mistake that we made this seminar. See you in seminar. Bye and thank you.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.